How's the running back competition going so far with that group and all being healthy?
Yeah, it's been going really well. Those guys have come to practice with a good attitude every day, focused. They've taken care of the football, done a really good job of that. I think they've all had, a day or even moments where, they've kind of popped off the film, and that's what makes you excited. Again, that's what we were excited about coming into campus, that we felt like there was going to be not only great competition every day, but just seeing those guys and what they do really, really well. But man, we found different ways to get them the ball in space, and they've taken care of business, which is encouraging for us.
Is this a similar situation maybe to 2019 when you didn't really have a clear guy coming in? Do you see it maybe playing out like that?
Somebody asked that the other day, and for sure there are similarities. Just because you don't have your starter, all-conference, all-American type of guy returning, which was what we felt when we lost David. I think the exciting part about this group is that you've got a lot of guys that I think we've seen behind the scenes have some really, really good moments. You've got a guy like Jirel who's made a ton of plays on the field. And so I think there's probably even just a greater level of confidence that you'll not only have maybe one guy that steps up to that challenge, but multiple guys that do. Probably different than, at that moment, I think we were just looking for somebody and hoping for somebody, where I think we have more confidence that it's going to be somebody. We're just excited to see who those somebodies end up being.
What has Cartavius been able to do to impress you guys so much?
Run really hard through people's faces. That's probably the best way to describe what he's done. And we haven't been live yet, but that's probably a good thing in the reverse way, that I think there's like some defenders that are glad we haven't had to be live yet against that dude, because he runs hard, man. Like, he is not afraid to run through somebody, and that I think makes everybody excited. I think when he gets going like that, and just the fact that he's willing to be physical. He's a downhill back that's hard to tackle, and he's willing to run like that.
We didn't get to see a lot of Eli last year because of injuries and whatnot, being banged up. What's he shown you, and what's he looking like for the season?
Yeah, he caught about an 80-yard touchdown out of the backfield today. It had been a foot race between him and Darian Porter. Now, Darian Porter would argue that it wasn't a touchdown, which could be true, knowing Darian and his speed. But he's a guy that can make big plays, explosive plays, not only catching the ball out of the backfield, but hit some runs, run the ball downhill, finding creases in between the tackles, which is good to see. But again, he's a back that comes from a really good high school program. He's done a lot. Even in his high school, they asked him to do a lot. They asked him to catch the ball, pass protect, run the ball in a number of different ways. So I think he's got a lot that he's done already, and honestly starting to feel that comfort on the college level.
There's been a lot of conversation about X and Jalen, but even with Darren Wilson and Sean Shaw and Daniel Jackson coming back, what have those guys been able to show you so far? What makes you feel good about them?
All those guys are different in what they bring to the table. I think, again, Darren has played a lot of games, started a lot of games here, and I think this offseason, for the first time, he's been consistently healthy. I think, Daniel Jackson has had good moments and moments where he's flashed, and then, injuries have kind of hampered him a little bit. Well, he's been healthy for a long time. And so, again, he made a bunch of plays yesterday, in the red zone. Darren Wilson has made plays. Our first big passing touchdown of fall camp was Darren Wilson running down the right sideline making a play. And then Sean Shaw, another guy that's battled a few injuries. Well, now he's been healthy. And again, he's a big body, big target. And I even think, Sean's really done a good job in the weight room, even improving his strength. So those guys, adding in Demetri Stanley and what he brings to the table, obviously a guy with a ton of speed, able to stretch the ball down the field, able to play inside and outside. He gives us a lot of flexibility at the position as well.
Did the receivers kind of fly under the radar a little bit last year with Brock, with Brees, with Charlie?
Yeah, I think their role was probably different game to game and week to week. Again, when you have so many weapons like Brees Hall, where you're going to hand the ball, you're going to find a way to hand the ball to Brees Hall 20, 25, 30 times a game. Charlie Kolar and the number of plays that he made, and even Chase Allen and being able to utilize guys who had experience under their belt. Well, now all of a sudden some of our most experienced guys are in the receiver room. And so we're going to find ways to utilize those guys and still be multiple as an offense. But again, I think the more that you have experience, the more that you've built trust, I think the more confidence we have as coaches. And we've got a lot of confidence in those guys because of what they've done already for us.
You were able to coach Darian for several years before he switched over to the defensive side. From your perspective, what gives him the skill set that he can be a good defensive back?
Well, from the talent standpoint, I mean, high-end speed, length, just that ability and what he can do on defense, it definitely makes him a unique corner to play against. Even the guys having to play against him, his ability to play off coverage, his ability to press up and use his length. But what Darian's got that it's the reason why as a redshirt freshman, he made a ton of plays for us on special teams is because he's got a mentality that he comes to work every day. He learns, he grows, he gets better as a football player. He's the type of kid that this program is built on, that no matter what you give him, no matter what you put in front of him, no matter what position they're playing, they find ways to make plays. They find ways to help contribute to this team. And that's the thing that Darian Porter has that's going to allow him to be successful as a DB. But it's already allowed him to be successful on our team up to this point.
At what point was the time when you guys decided that, okay, we're gonna get as many great receivers as we can? I mean, we've seen good receivers at Iowa State before, but not as many as what you've had the last few seasons in a collective unit. When did that change, and why?
Now, my goal, being somebody who goes and recruits players, is get as many good players as you can possibly find. So the truth is,
you can't recruit 30 receivers.
I can dang try. I can try now. But that's the truth as a running back. I mean, we brought in Brees Hall and Jairo Brock in the same year. Well, we're trying to get good players that fit our culture, that fit what we're trying to do. Getting really good receivers here is our goal. Well, bringing in Gabe Burkle and Andrew Keller at tight end. So I do think that it's not necessarily a philosophy of, okay, let's go and find, 4 receivers who fit. No, we evaluate really good players who fit our program, and I think what you've seen is players that are even of a higher caliber now continuing to believe in our program, believe in Coach Campbell, believe in what we've done on the football field. And so, again, it's the same thing as the running back room. I think it's why we have a greater level of confidence because, man, those are pretty high caliber players that we have in that room right now. And now at receiver, there are multiple players that we feel really confident about. But I think that comes from the type of guys that we're bringing in, that there's a different level of player, they're really talented guys and they fit our program, fit our culture. And all of a sudden, man, they get a year in the program, 2 years in the program, you do feel really confident in them.
Is Gaines becoming one of those guys?
He is. Greg's got that kind of that it factor about him as a player that he just finds ways to get better. He's a determined kid, a hardworking kid, a focused kid, way more mature than what you would expect from a guy who, is a freshman here. He feels like he's a guy that's been around for a long time. He's been around for a semester and he was supposed to be a senior in high school, but he feels like an older guy already just because of the way he carries himself. And again, he continues to show each and every day. I think there's times where, you sit there and you think of him as an older guy just because you're confident that, he's going to do the right thing out on the field. He's going to find a way to make plays, and he's going to work really, really hard in between time.
Is his path as
running back room?
Yep.
If Eli is a guy that we see in a month getting a lot of snaps, what will it have been that he's shown you for the last month?
I think the level of consistency, not only we feel confident running the ball. I think we feel confident with him in the pass game. I think the consistency in pass protection. I think the consistency with play after play, even when big runs aren't there, that he's able to cram it and get 2-3 yards, on plays where, man, he's not trying to make a play and losing us 2 yards. I think when he does that and does that at a consistent level, he's going to be a really, really dangerous back. But, again, he's been showing that already in camp, that he's taking the 2 to 3 yard gains, and man, when the 50, 60-yard plays show up, he's there ready for it as well.
That sounds like the standard young running back. These are the things you got to get better at.
That's right.
On in your career.
That's right. Yeah, pass protection and taking what the defense gives you. That is standard, and I think that's something that all guys have to work through at some level.
Is Gaines' path to playing time as a freshman, is that a little more difficult maybe than what Jalen Noel faced last year to play as a freshman? Going to be more difficult?
It's a really good question. I think I think we're probably a little bit deeper right now than we were maybe a year ago. I think that's probably true. You know, in going back to Jalen, we didn't have as many slots. Even with Jalen coming in, you know, there was really one slot in front of him. And again, by game 3, you know, he ends up being the starter. You know, I think with Greg, there probably are more outside guys. There's, you know, we got a few seniors that are outside receivers that have played a lot of ball. So it's probably a little bit different, but at the same time, you have the same feel from those guys of being mature freshmen who, man, as you continue to play snaps, as you continue to practice, you just don't know where those guys could end up being by week 1 of the season, by week 3 of the season, by week 5 of the season.
I was just saying, speaking of the slot guys, talk a little bit about Karan Adams and then maybe Jason Essex a little bit, the other freshman guys.
Yeah, you know, the thing that we liked about Karan is he was something that was different. You know, a guy that ran a 10.4 in high school. You know, finding a guy with speed like that that can track the ball and catches the ball, he's a guy that can provide an explosive playmaker in a number of different ways. So I think we're excited about him, excited to see him develop and grow. You know, Jason Essex is a guy that's turned some heads as we've gotten into fall camp, and he's a big body guy. You know, he's 215 pounds right now. He's actually 10 pounds down from what he showed up as. But I mean, if he walked by here, you wouldn't say that he was a freshman in college. You would think he was a 5th-year senior, the way that he looks. But he's explosive for a big guy and very physical with the ball in his hands. Has some athletic ability that, again, you wouldn't imagine from a guy his size. He's got to continue to learn and to grow and to understand the system, and I think he will. You know, but I think those are 2 freshmen as well as Greg that we've been really excited about even early on in camp, you know.
What would it mean to have a consistently healthy Darren Wilson for the first time?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that Darren provides, you know, that may not even show up on the stat line. I think his ability to make plays on special teams has been high end here. From this time he's got here, he's been able to do that, and I think him being able to add into that and make plays, you know, I see him as a guy that, you know, those guys that we've had before, the Landon Akers, the Jake Hummels, that have been big-time special teams players, and now as he has been healthy, is able to make huge contributions on offense. So that's what I foresee for him is just being able to not only make big plays on offense, but also on special teams.
We'll take one more.
Which of the younger players do you feel took the biggest leap in the offseason?
Oh, if I had to go with man, if I had to go with one, it's hard to go with just one guy. You know, I probably would still put Jalen in that category. He's still a young player, although he started so many games, although he's made a lot of plays. But I think mentally, he still made a big jump in just his knowledge, his ability. You know, he had a play today where, you know, he had a route where there was a couple different options. And, man, I thought the safety did a good job of disguising what was going on. And, man, if I was in his shoes, I don't know if I would have made the right decision, but he made the right decision. Hunter knew what was going on, was able to hit him on a huge play down the field. And again, I don't think he would have been able to do that his freshman year, but he was on it the very first time it showed up. It's the first time we ran the play in camp, and he made a big play on it.
A long passing play?
It was long, Randy. It was long. Yeah, you have to ask Coach Manning if he dialed up the exact distance on the yards, but it was long. It was. Yeah, the ball was like this. It went way up and then way down right into Jalen's hands. So that's exactly right. Yeah,
Visualization.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt.